some more news coming out with unfortunately issues that may or may not be problems going into the future as it pertains to the vaccinations. And these is just the leading cause, one of the leading reasons as to why, people like myself, when we do our cost benefit analysis, like versus getting it versus not. Like, I know that the general generic mainstream position is get it. You're the greatest person in the world. If you get it, you care about people. If you get it, and if you don't, you're some self-important, selfish jackwagon. No matter how healthy you are. And unfortunately, we've seen some vaccines have been pulled all together. We know what happened, for example, with Johnson & Johnson. We've seen some of these issues that have possibly, absolutely more so blood clotting, but we have another issue in which the CDC announced here not too long ago that there's another problem that they need to meet up and they're trying to look into because they're seeing an issue. Let's see what it is that they're talking about. So this is coming from CBC News. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention announced Thursday that it will convene an emergency meeting of its advisors on June 18th, which is next week, to discuss rare but higher than expected reports of heart inflammation following doses of the mRNA-based Pfizer and Moderna. So this is specifically pertaining to Pfizer and the Moderna vaccine. So far, the CDC has identified 226 reports, which people are going to just throw this away because that's not big enough. They're going to say that, that's just, this is a very, consider all the people that have been vaccinated. This is rare, blah, blah, blah. That might meet the agency's working case definition. Myocarditis and pericarditis following the shots. The agency disclosed Thursday, got a text, the vast majority have recovered by 41 had ongoing symptoms. 15 are still hospitalized and 3 are in intensive care unit. The reports represent just a tiny fraction of the nearly, which is again how they're going to dumb this down, 130 million Americans who have been fully vaccinated with either Pfizer or Moderna's doses. It's a bit of an apples to oranges comparison because, again, there are preliminary reports. Not all will turn out to be true. That was coming from Tom Shimabukuro, and that's a CDC vaccine safety official. He also says their findings were mostly consistent with reports of rare cases that had been studied in Israel, reported to the U.S. Department of Defense earlier this year. CDC is working on more data analysis or reports ahead of an emergency meeting of its own advisors next week. Also plan to analyze the risk of heart inflammation posed by catching COVID-19. So I guess catching it all together. New details emerged first in presentations to a panel of independent advisors for the FDA, who are meeting Thursday to discuss how the regulator should approach emergency use authorization for COVID-19 vaccines in younger children. Interesting. In which they are. We know they're starting to test these young people, which, I mean, why would you make your kid a lab rat? I don't know. CDC heart inflammation that were detected mostly in younger men and teenage boys following the second dose, and that there was a higher number of observed than expected cases in 16 to 24-year-olds. So it looks like it seems to be impacting a lot of the males. Risk-benefit considerations to determine whether to issue an emergency use authorization for the use of COVID-19 vaccine into healthy pediatric individuals will need to account for this information. So basically, they're finding that some people are having some heart inflammation after taking this vaccine. Now, of course, this is because of the number that they're generally using, which who knows how many other people may have this issue going on that haven't obviously went to the doctor or anything like that, or even know. maybe be until they have symptoms and start having issues when they actually start to go see someone for this problem. Now, again, this is going to get just swept completely under the rug because you're only talking about what they're saying, a little over 200 people. It's enough for them to find that there's a problem there, and they want to make sure they meet up, definitely as they start to get these youngsters involved in terms of giving them the jab. But these are the type of things that, you can feel that they're small and insignificant. But these are the type of things that a lot of us took into consideration. And it's like, look, man, a lot of us are healthy. And if we go like that, we go like that. Not talking about with the jab, and obviously that's a risk that you're free to assume. But with us, it's more of, okay, we look at the cost benefit analysis and we're like, okay, we're seeing these other numbers. This is the likelihood of me dying or need to be hospitalized for people that are generally having my age and health demographic or health status. But the thing that gets lost is people just call folks just evil sons of guns for not falling over another, American to try to line up and get the jab. They try to call you selfish and all sorts of things. You have to understand that it's literally experimental. And what that means is it's not that people haven't been testing like RNA vaccines or anything. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is this particular one, and as it pertains to COVID, is a relatively new. It's not relatively. It is, and there's been no longer extended extensive trial. There simply has not been one, right? So there could be issues that happen, 4 or 5 years down. We don't know. And it's just simply not worth when we look at what this virus is and how it impacts people. A lot of us have made the decision. I know you can't fix your mind to understand that, but a lot of us have made the decision that because of that, we don't know. We don't want to inject ourselves with that, and we just, let our immune system do what it does, and that would be more so the risk that he takes. And maybe some people that assume that risk may get hospitalized, may unfortunately end up passing, and that's their right to assume. But when you consider things like that, to act like it's just no way in hell, no potential that there could be some people talk about the long-term effects of COVID, but seem to just throw it out the window when it comes to the vaccine. And I'm going to cover every single one of these. And it's not to strike fear in people by any means that you guys that have gotten vaccines, though, despite the fact that a lot of you guys have been fear mongering in regards to people actually catching the virus. But it's more so to point out and reaffirm that position, so you understand that, yes, there are rational human beings, reasonable human beings that have also been advised by their own personal doctors. Believe it or not, all of them work for the government. And they've assessed the risk and said that's not something that they want to take. Now, again, their opinions may change 5-10 years from now. But again, that's their right to assume, and it's not an unreasonable position, no matter how much you try to ostracize or rather make it seem as if these people are crazy, especially when you have news like this that continues to drop. You just watched a clip from my podcast, For Canon's Sake. Catch us live at 12 p.m. throughout the week over at youtube.com/YoungRipper59 and follow us over at odyssey.com/@YoungRipper59. If you want to watch the entire video cast after the show is over, just be sure to become a member on the YouTube channel. Of course, the full audio portion of the podcast is available for free on all major digital platforms, or just visit forcanonsake.com.